everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ereen. I'm going to talk to you today about the current situation of public education in Egypt as well as our hopes for it. So the current situation is not great. The Egyptian education system is in a crisis. So there are several indicators that prove or show that the quality of public Egyptian education is abysmal. So I chose a couple of indicators here. Egypt was actually ranked last by the World Economic Forum Global Competitiveness Report in terms of the quality of its primary education in the year 2013. Also, returns on basic education, which corresponds to K-12 here in the US, is 1% per year of schooling versus the international average, and well below the international average of 26%. These figures, they specifically speak of the public education, which caters to 90% of the Egyptian children. So we're talking about 18 million children go to public schools, pre-university education. So it heavily impacts the majority of the Egyptian children. There are several reasons why the situation is so disturbing, but for the purpose of this presentation, I'll touch only on two. The fact that the education system is heavily centralized, so curricula and lesson plans, they are devised by the Ministry of Education on a national level, so teachers have no room whatsoever to tailor the lesson plans to the specific needs of the children. Also, it's a banking model, in the words of Paulo Freire, which means students' minds are seen as empty compartments where teachers deposit knowledge and information. So teachers know everything, students know nothing. It's heavily focused on contents and information, promotes rote memorization, no skill building, no critical thinking. Speaking of my own personal experience, my years of schooling were many years ago, but I still remember, I don't think I was ever asked what I think. I was always told what to think. So these skills, I mean critical thinking, problem solving, they are essential for success in a global economy. So the Egyptian education does not really prepare children with the skills they need for the job market, or let alone to fulfill their potentials. So this is where my client comes in. It's an education enterprise that is trying to do something about the bad quality of the education system, but basically they are trying to address the problem of traditional education. So they have designed a progressive model that is child-centered, trying to promote skills, and it's focusing on whole child development. And they wanted to take this model and apply it on children to prove that it's working. So they want to try it, they want to test it, they want to validate it, and hopefully upscale it on a national level. So what they did is that they have built this school in a Cairo slum, and that's a picture of the facade of the school with the children, and this school is basically Egypt's first lab school, because they want to test this model there. And I'm not sure if everybody in the room is familiar with the concept of a lab school, but a lab school is the laboratory where research on education is conducted, whether it's a research on educational model or different theories of education. It's applied on children, and then they try to figure out what works, what does not work. So laboratory schools have existed in the US and the West for over a century, because there is always research done on education, but for Egypt, this is a novel concept, because as I just said, it's always been a traditional model, very little innovation, if none, was done in the realm of education. So this is where my project comes in. So in order not to reinvent the wheel and to learn from the experiences of others, so I look into a couple of lab schools here in the Bay Area and search for lessons that could be applied by my client. And in order to extrapolate lessons that are most relevant to my client, I would say that my project was kind of like twofold. So I first looked into the client, the school in Egypt. So I visited the school in Egypt. I conducted interviews in the school to learn about the client. And I also, so far, conducted 2 case studies of 2 schools in the Bay Area. The schools in the Bay Area, the choice was based on 2 criteria. The school either identified as a lab school or the school tried something new, like tried a new process, tried a new model. And search for questions like, what do you mean by testing? How do you do it? Who conducts the testing and the different processes and so on? So my recommendations and findings are based on the fact that I kind of categorized them into 2 categories: what I learned about the client and what I learned from the case studies. So about the client, not surprisingly, they are heavily constrained by the fact that the education system is heavily centralized. They have limited room for innovation. They still have to use the lesson plans from the government. They have to use the curricula. They are trying to tweak it, but guess what? They are being inspected between 3 to 4 times a week. The government is sending somebody to see, hey, are you actually using the lesson plan that we devised for you? So here's my recommendation. Try to formalize. Ask for a license as a lab school. There is a great opportunity. There is a Minister of Education that just took office 2 months ago. He's known to be progressive. There's also Egypt's national plan, which uses the rhetoric of like skill-based learning. It's all on paper, but now you could really apply and try to make this a reality. One more thing I have to say, that one main finding was the fact that poverty was an avoidable impediment. It's a confounding factor. When you're testing something, you really can't tell whether or not it's not working because you did it wrong or because the kids come to school hungry. Take the school to to an area with less challenges of poverty. A few other recommendations here, but I'm out of time. So many. Okay. Yes, Mary.
I'm curious about these lab schools that do exist in Egypt. How are they funded in such a centralized system of education?
Okay, thank you, Mary, for this question because I didn't bring it up. So it's only the school that was built by my client, and yes, has taken the the license of the community schools. So everything is mandated by the government. Yes, yet interestingly enough, the government does not pay for anything except for the books, while it's been funded by the organization. And as for the organization funding model, they have donations, they have grants, they also have this project with which they have a revenue stream. They are teaching, or actually they are training the school teachers in the public schools about how to use progressive pedagogical styles. And it's not the government that pays them for that, it's the private sector. So they use the private sector to pay for these trainings. So they are trying to work on several levels, on the school or in the school on one side, and training the government teachers on the other side.
Besides the international schools, the private schools in Egypt, what models do they follow?
Okay, private schools, they are like 10% of the students go to private schools, and there is a big disparity in terms. Yes, you said there are international schools. The quality of education in private schools is superior to the one in the private school, yet still it's somewhat still affected. I mean, it's centralized. They still use the curricula from the government. They are trying to be a little bit more innovative, but still, it's not as progressive as it could be. Yes, the government has a heavy hand on the private schools in Egypt. Yes.
Ironically, the debate in this country is that perhaps the education is too decentralized, particularly given how schools, the strange way that schools are funded in the U.S. So is the issue the centralization or the content that they're centralized? I mean, one could imagine if they came up with a good model, a centralized system would be a very good way to rapidly.
This is top down. I mean, don't you want people to decide for themselves?
I want you to respond to my question.
Yeah, I think if I had to choose, I would say don't make it centralized, that people decide for themselves what they want to learn. make the education, make it bottom up as opposed to top down. Yes, Rashid.
Speaking of making people decide for themselves, how involved are the parents in this lab schools? Are they aware that these teachers want to go away from this centralized system?
It's interesting. Thank you for the question. The parents are aware that they are trying. Thank you. The parents are aware that this school is trying something new, something more progressive, and they are happy with it. Yet they are not aware with the idea that this school is testing this new model with the hope to upscale it. But yes, I talk to parents. They think this school is superior to other schools in the area. But yeah.
Thank you very much.